Listen closely. I, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, am changing history today. On the soil of Burkina Faso, the name of the drug mafia has been erased from.
In less than 2 days, a young African officer accomplished what decades of expensive, foreign-led cooperation had failed to do. Captain Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso didn't just intercept a drug shipment. He tore apart the largest synthetic narcotics network in Sahel history. 10 tons of crystal-pure methamphetamine, cleverly disguised as humanitarian aid, seized before it could poison communities from Mali to the Ivory Coast. But this isn't simply a drug bust story. This is the moment Africa stopped asking for permission to defend itself. What you're about to hear will challenge everything you think you know about foreign aid, sovereignty, and who truly controls West Africa's trade corridors. Stay with me, because the deeper you go, the more you'll see how this one night exposed a web of power, profit, and deception stretching from the dusty highways of Burkina Faso to boardrooms in Europe's wealthiest capitals. The call that changed everything. It's 2:12 a.m. in Ouagadougou. Inside the Sahel Regional Command, an encrypted line blinks to life. Priority signal from Gao, Mali. Gao is a place where government control fades into contested zones, where military patrols share space with rebel groups and smugglers. The message is short but urgent. Unmarked convoy, slip through local checkpoints, no plates, no transponders, moving like it's untouchable. The convoy isn't ordinary. Each truck carries the logos of defunct European aid agencies, Agro Sahel International, old medical distributors from Niger, the kind of names that breeze through border checks without a second glance. But Captain Traoré notices something strange. Instead of using established humanitarian corridors, they're driving an abandoned petroleum transport route, one officially marked low risk and mostly unused since French military operations scaled down. Why would aid trucks take a route no aid convoys should be on? And why at night, through areas with almost no oversight? Heat in the cargo holds. Infrared drones lock onto the convoy before it reaches the neutral zone. On the thermal monitors, the cargo containers glow steadily, too steadily. The manifest claims seed, grain, and fertilizer. But seeds don't give off heat like this, not unless something alive, or chemically active, is inside. Traoré makes a calculated call. Track them. Do not intercept until they cross our line. For 14 hours, Burkina Faso's surveillance network shadows the trucks. Every movement is logged. Every stop timed. At 6:03 a.m., the lead truck finally breaches Burkina Faso's sovereign border. In that exact moment, Traoré issues an order no Sahelian officer had dared to give in decades. Lock the border. 6 hours. No crossings. No exceptions. 11 satellite relays go active. 12 outposts shut their gates. Commercial, civilian, NGO, everything stops. For the first time in modern West African history, a nation closed an international aid corridor without first asking permission from a Western capital. Silence from the world. Except for the pressure. The reaction is instant. Encrypted calls from French security advisors. Polite but urgent queries from EU development offices. Ping after ping from UN field monitors. Every single one is ignored. Here was a young African commander essentially telling the most powerful institutions on Earth. Not today. Not on my soil. For decades, international procedures demanded that African security forces wait, prioritize diplomatic comfort over African safety. In one decisive command, Traoré shattered that expectation. African technology, African hands. What happened next surprised even seasoned intelligence officers. This operation wasn't run from Paris or Washington. The AI-driven pathing algorithms? The terrain-adaptive heat maps? The cargo signature reconstruction tech? All built inside Burkina Faso's upgraded defense command by local engineers and Ghanaian digital forensics teams. This was African technology solving African problems. Within 48 hours, the convoy's suspected route was digitally mapped. AI compared their path with historical NGO traffic. Every deviation, every suspicious stop, flagged. The data revealed something chilling. 3 other convoys had followed 89% of the same route in the past year. None filed correct manifests. None were inspected. All vanished into the Sahel. The Interception. At 1946, just outside Goram Goram, a fixed-wing drone detects heat anomalies in the second truck's cargo. The manifest says, agricultural lime. The scans say chemical core temps too high to be fertilizer. The extraction team, 48 Burkina Faso counter-trafficking soldiers, 4 Interpol liaisons, 3 African Cyber Risk Bureau analysts, moves in. No resistance. No casualties. 20 minutes later, the containers are open. Inside, slabs of high-density methamphetamine, lab-purified, street value nearly $90 million in Europe. A watching eye. Then, another twist. 2 sleek surveillance drones orbit above the site. Not civilian models. Their altitude and signal match European defense contractor specs. Someone somewhere had the resources to watch, and perhaps to protect, this shipment. The paper trail. Forensic work uncovers QR codes linked to cargo that entered Lagos and Cotonou in 2023. Destination coordinates. Research compounds in coastal Europe. The shipping approvals turn out to be fakes, processed through a private audit firm in Antwerp, routed via shell logistics firms. On paper, the cargo belongs to Agri-Development West Africa, a European NGO for post-conflict agricultural relief. In reality, a ghost entity registered to an empty Luxembourg office, funded by a pharmaceutical giant already investigated for exporting precursor chemicals. This isn't just crime. This is systematic exploitation, using the machinery of aid to funnel poison through Africa's unguarded gates. Standing alone, and not alone. Traoré makes his next move, full public disclosure. No secret talks. No backroom deals. Evidence is shared with journalists, open-source platforms, and African fact-checkers. Western media backlash is immediate. Headlines twist the story into Burkina Faso detains EU relief shipment. Notice what's missing. No mention of drug purity, no mention of surveillance drones, no mention of the heat scans. When Africa defends itself, the narrative often flips the defender into the villain. But this time, something changes. African leaders rally. Ghana's president publicly backs Burkina Faso. Mali's government calls Traoré a necessary flame. Nigeria, Algeria, Chad, and others pledge legal and technical help. For the first time in decades, Africa answers as a united front. Building the Firewall. The day after, Burkina Faso launches Operation Sahara Sands, Clean Corridor. 11 border points across the Sahel will get permanent high-resolution scanners, able to pierce any freight, any logo, any aid package. No more free lanes for friendly donors. Interpol signs a 5-year data-sharing pact. Nigeria convenes a regional security caucus. Chad, Algeria, and Niger commit drones, uplinks, and satellite support. The vision. Africanet Clean Transit, a continental customs intelligence network, scanning every humanitarian shipment before it touches African soil. What this really means. For generations, Africa's ports and borders have been treated as uninspected corridors for foreign interests. In the name of humanitarian efficiency, inspection exemption zones let dangerous cargo move invisibly. Who benefited? Certainly not the African families burying children lost to synthetic drugs. This operation tore that curtain down. The human side. It's not just geopolitics. It's the grandmother in Gao who's buried 2 grandsons. It's the young man in Niamey watching his neighborhood decay while aid trucks roll through unchecked. Traoré put it simply. We don't just need freedom. We need clean space for our children to breathe. A new standard. Today, Burkina Faso's customs teams have agricultural experts verifying seed shipments, mobile labs testing compounds in under 90 minutes, and real-time sharing with partner nations. One convoy from Djibouti flagged last month, labeled reforestation materials. Tests showed chemical purity levels above European industrial limits. How many times did this happen before Africa decided enough was enough? The turning point. In just 48 hours, Traoré proved something the world was told was impossible. That Africa can protect itself with its own courage, its own tools, and its own unity. No foreign oversight. No permission slips. "I don't care what they call me," he said. "I care that our children live long enough to be called anything at all." From Lagos to Nairobi, young Africans are now asking louder questions about sovereignty, dignity, and the right to inspect what enters their homeland. This is not the end of the fight against exploitation. But something irreversible has begun. Africa is not waiting to be rescued, and it is no longer pretending not to see. If you believe this is the beginning of Africa's detox from decades of exploitation, say it loud: Africa rise. Because the more we speak, the harder it becomes for the world to silence us.